You step into a cafe, freeze mid-step, and it hits you. A sudden, overwhelming certainty that you have lived this exact moment before. The French call it déjà vu, literally already seen. And if you felt this eerie sensation, you are in the majority. Roughly 2 out of 3 people experience this cognitive stutter at some point in their lives. Pop culture loves to play with what causes this. Take this classic cinematic image of a black cat, followed immediately by its ghostly duplicate. It's the famous theory that we live in a simulation, and déjà vu is the byproduct of an administrator altering the code. Other theorists prefer a cosmic scale. They suggest our reality is just one of many, and that this sensation happens when parallel multiverses temporarily vibrate at the exact same frequency, causing a dimensional overlap. But we don't need to look to alternate dimensions or sci-fi simulations to find the cause. The real culprit is an internal biological error. This sensation is an internal illusion. It suggests that our seamless experience of time depends on a series of hidden biological handshakes that can occasionally miss their mark. When that wave of familiarity washes over you, it often brings a secondary symptom, the absolute confidence that you can predict exactly what is going to happen next in the room. To understand why we feel like prophets, we have to examine how we experience time. There is a measurable gap between when an event physically occurs in the real world and when your conscious brain actually registers it. This timeline charts an incoming event. The first marker, your subconscious intake, lands immediately. Your eyes and ears absorb the data. But your conscious awareness? That second marker trails milliseconds behind. Because your subconscious mind absorbs the environmental data first, your conscious mind arrives late to its own experience. The brain misinterprets that slight processing delay as anticipation rather than a late reaction. That thrilling sensation of predicting the future is merely a temporal illusion. Your consciousness is simply lagging behind your own subconscious reflexes. To find the exact millisecond where this misfire happens, we have to look at the physical architecture of the brain, right where sensory data is first sorted. Every visual and auditory signal you encounter is split. Your brain processes these signals simultaneously in both the left and the right hemispheres. This schematic highlights those 2 separate hemispheres, connected by a glowing central bridge known as the corpus callosum. This structure is responsible for syncing the incoming data. Under normal conditions, 2 separate data pulses travel across that glowing bridge and merge perfectly into a single cohesive moment in time. But watch what happens during an anomaly called asynchronization. The data pulse on the right slows down drastically, lagging several microseconds behind the pulse on the left. Because the left signal arrives on time, it gets immediately logged into a box labeled short-term memory. When the delayed right pulse finally arrives, it collides with that newly formed short-term memory box, triggering a flashing familiarity alert. The brain compares the late signal to the memory it just created and registers a false match. This microscopic timing error forces a brand new experience to bypass normal processing. It gets misfiled directly into the already happened category. A neurological timing error explains the mechanics, but why does stepping into a completely unfamiliar building so reliably trigger this misfire? Psychologists point to the hologram theory. It proposes that a single recognizable sensory input, like the shape of a window or the smell of a specific floor wax, can force your brain to recall the framework of an entire forgotten memory. Look at this overlapping spatial geometry. When the wireframe of a medical waiting room overlays perfectly onto the layout of an aquarium shop you visited years ago, those matching structural angles trick the brain's pattern recognition software. Researchers test this using virtual reality. They place subjects in digital rooms with subtly matching layouts, intentionally inducing déjà vu by mimicking the spatial patterns of unrelated, forgotten environments. Our brains are aggressive pattern-matching machines. They will fabricate a feeling of history just because the geometry of a room is vaguely familiar. It might be a little disappointing to learn that déjà vu isn't a cosmic superpower, a window to a parallel universe, or a matrix glitch. But look at this eye rapidly processing light and geometry. Uncovering the mundane biological truth actually highlights the incredibly complex, high-speed calculations our neurology attempts every single second. Our organic, error-prone brains perform a massive feat of engineering every second, stitching together a seamless experience of time and reality that works almost flawlessly every single day.